Dar poți să dăm să meargă, că să începem lecția.
Вот кружок на русской сидит. Они там делают только модели самолетов или там кто-то есть учится, все это рабочий, что-то.
Только модель.
Модель. Как было на классе, модели были.
Робот это не делает.
А продам тоже можно снять?
Нет, там только...
Это вот не модель, а самолет.
Да.
Управление. Я знакомый спросила. На ботанике там живут.
Там начинают с простых моделей, резиномоторные потом уже на радиоуправлении.
Method to find the full range R617XL receiver. I wanted to share it with YouTube in case anybody else was able to be helped out with this method. So we've got the receiver, the cable that came with the receiver that has a small JST plug and the other regular size plug going into a servo Y cable, and a paper clip bent from the ground to the signal to act as our bind plug. We're going to plug in our power source. The transmitter is off. Receiver is ready to bind. Transmitter is on. All right, the bind is complete. We are going to remove power, and then we are going to remove the bind plug, and then we're going to turn off the transmitter, give it just a couple of seconds to power down. Once again, the bind plug has now been removed. Wait just a few seconds so it gets a clear signal. We'll plug in the power supply again.
You can try again.
We get a bound receiver. Now we're going to turn off the transmitter and look for lost communications. Transmitter's off. Lost communication. Blinking red to
Я могу на
indicate
этот
lost
пункт смотреть
communication.
как раз этот ролик.
We're going to turn the transmitter
Да.
back on.
Я сказал, что этот метод
We'll
пробовал.
reconnect to the
Но это
transmitter.
классический метод, как вот эти
And
стандарты
still show us
DSL.
that we experienced a fault
Fires.
during flight. Hope that helps you guys. It sure helped me.
Let's try it out. Yes, we need the XT6.
You can connect directly.
Or you
To
can,
the
or you
plug,
can,
to the main plug.
or you can use our assembly because it's already connected. Кстати, вот это батарея.
You can use the main plug.
No, then it will be hard to hold it.
I can help you. If you
Yeah, okay. So we can put it here as well, with the balancer.
bend it like this, and it will hold. It will spring.
Do it like that.
So it's in bind mode.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to the Trilogy 9XR Pro.
And the up button is for bind. I guess you should hold it once power the radio.
While powering the radio.
Welcome to the Trilogy 9XR Pro.
Okay, it's in bind mode.
Oh, you managed
Bind.
right from the start. Great.
Now,
Now we have a connection. Yes,
This one
just
is-
powering off. No importance. Все то, что мы делали, получилось с первого раза.
Может быть,
You are super lucky. We've tried it like
100 times.
dozens of times. Yeah.
not one time.
Okay,
Okay.
now we have a bind. We should mark them to know that they are bound. And there's another cable with the servo connector for,
Yes.
for the tower. I guess
Yes,
it's
we-
yeah.
we can change.
We should just unplug them.
So maybe take the one that is assembled. That one is assembled, I think. Which one is assembled?
The most assembled one is the one with the props, yes, but it doesn't have a BEC. Because we've used a BEC from the Pixhawk and I had to take it away. We'll just install another
Почему?
BEC.
Вот этот собран, вот смотри, полностью.
Который вот этот?
Да, все там есть.
This one is assembled but not set.
Mm-hmm.
So
Там все есть. И this one has everything.
we can just unplug this receiver and plug this one.
And you have also the Do you have any tape that we can mark the numbers? Yeah, I can see. Here. We can use this one. And some marker.
Да, есть тут маркер где-то?
No, without GUI, you will not make it work. You should.
No?
No. No way. It should be calibrated.
First.
Both the sensors, the radio inputs, channels should be mapped.
For the sparking.
Yeah.
So first you need a connection to the computer.
Yes.
Because you haven't done it yet with this?
I've done it with the Futaba.
Okay.
So I've chosen the S-Bus communication, but
Okay.
with this one, I guess you will choose DSM2, maybe.
Maybe, yeah, this should. Okay. Yeah. So we need to configure this one. So you already did that last week,
Yeah.
the connections.
We even managed to fly one,
Fly this one.
the one with the props.
I even managed to fly one to the wall. So
This one small.
yeah, it's small enough. So we had to change all the propellers.
That works well.
Welcome to the Trilogy 9XR Pro.
It works like on the video. And just mark this one with the blue tag as well. So we know that this one is bound to this. No. Yes? Okay, thank you. We were able to bind one. So we'll just mark it as one here. Just the connections. Okay. So we are all by one.
Ale szybciej, nie tak 30 minut. Czyli trzeba tak naprawdę 50 minut lepsza dojechać.
Может, этот грузинский корабель
Это здесь
Волга?
аккуратно еще сделано. Это здесь очень аккуратно сделано.
Я говорю, может,
Будет
Волга делала. Ну, там более еще продвинулись тогда с этим фоном, каким-то более конкретным. Почему что пошло спаривание? Может быть, взяли тот же самый датчик? Или
Другой приемник, который еще не пробовал.
именно приемник на битдрониках, да?
Ну да, маленький.
Живет обидно.
Нет, почему? Спарили, и то хорошо, значит, возможно.
Делать это очень.
Да, получилось, да, спарить этот желтый приемничек с пультом. То, что мы не могли на прошлой неделе сделать. Да. Причем он сразу, раз у него сразу получилось.
Да, с новым.
Может, проблема была, получается, в этой детали?
Может быть, может быть.
То есть, получается, смотрите, получается, одна, по самому началу, что-то, я уже не помню, какой ее контроль, чтобы не работающий.
Да, это вот этот Sparky 2 контрольный.
Потому что, получается, из 6 деталей, что они делают?
Ну да.
Плюс у нас и запчастение было, если помните.
Ну, вообще, да, я помню, конечно. Надо сказать еще, что сейчас, допустим, все, кто слушает курс, поскольку предполагается какая-то поездка типа интернет-шип на 2 недели. И вот наша Татьяна сказала, что обменников было больше, почему-то это больше. Они считают, что самая сильная команда, это, и, собственно говоря, видно уже пока по 2 курсам. Наши языки должны приехать все из Молдавской команды, приехать должны в Францию. И она просила Татьяну передать нам всем тоже, что если то, что нам читала конкретно с Франции, мы читали архитектуру, это ничего не значит. Мы, в общем-то, тот же центр, который всем владеет. Вот мы, если есть какие-то вопросы, мы будем заранее туда все продумать, и вместе вроде как будет зависеть от того, что мы будем их спрашивать. Но пока то, что я видела, да, он видит, понимает, что это готово. Вот этим, слава Богу, все готово, собрал. Я даже не знаю, у него вообще специальности его или нет.
Ну, Хунг, вот он владеет формулами, математикой.
Такое впечатление.
Нет, понятно, что у него это связано с, если он закончил.
Ну, если прям карты на стол и честно, то Хунг не владеет беспилотной темой.
Вы это тоже подумали, да? То есть
Нет, а в принципе,
беспилотная.
в принципе, беспилотная тема не его. То есть вот физика, математика, да, это видно, что он там плавает
еще
очень свободно. Да.
Ну, какие-то вопросы он говорил, что я спрошу своего шефа, да, что это она. Вячеслав с ним говорил, он закончил, закончил МАИ, он закончил как раз военное. Что-то в МАИ связано с военной авиацией.
Но там тоже есть много такого, что очень, они, допустим, создают какие-то математические модели, там, расчеты каких-то там. Вот он рассказывал, что он рассчитывал, как бы связано с баллистикой, то есть при выпуске ракет, как это, что будет, да, вот эти все моменты. То есть оно очень специфично. Но он, правда, он во Франции очень хороший вуз закончил. Но есть такой ИСАИ, это же пробуется как институт supérieur de aéronautique et espace, типа высший институт аэрокосмический. И это как бы один из лидирующих в Европе. То есть, но он тоже, я так понял, что там именно по таким моментам. Здесь другая специфика, но я думаю, что там вместе, как бы, здесь, понимаете, оборудование заказывал не он.
Да, безусловно, что он не знает, что из того, что есть,
Плюс там на месте не он один будет, я думаю, что будет как-то интереснее. Они покажут, что у них есть.
Слушай, Татьяна, которая добивала, собственно, ведущая этого проекта, они сказали, что они ощущение даже чувствовали, что профессор команда не сильно была заинтересована. То есть, да, хочется прочитать. Инициировать все итальянцы, которые должны приехать 4 индивидуально, не двигаться, 4 5 следующего румынского команда. Вот. И французы вроде как стали менее активны, что вновь тоже должна была приехать дама, которая книги я видела, что он написал именно по дрону. Ну, в общем, не приехала.
Насколько я понял, это очень часто вуз. Это даже не государственный, это французский.
Ну, вот это грейп, да?
Ну, я не знаю, насколько он там лидирующую позицию занимает.
Ну, главное, чтобы не разбирались в математике, что-то. Ну, честно говоря, здесь видишь, что все не Наши товарищи не посылали им список, какой список, то есть не только сейчас, есть список с спецификациями, да, где можно повесить один список, просто написано, допустим, там, мотор фарипели, чтобы я, который новичок, понимала, что это, где. То есть должны были им послать, конечно, какой-то список, который не должен был. Или те посчитали, что они дали четкое указание, допустим, то, что вы говорили, что не рассчитывали, видите, как это? Первый стал, он говорит, точно должен рассчитывать вес, он тоже говорил, но как-то...
Ну, это ну, само собой как-то, разумеется.
Ну, это что вы это знаете. Ну, например, которые... Ну, как не знался. То есть они должны были смотреть, что к этой большому такому дрону, ну, как что мы смотрим. Это так, что это большому дрону, да, чего-то не рассчитан по весу.
Он не рассчитан ни по какому, ни по какому критерию.
Особенно, что-то...
То есть так как стендовая модель пойдет, то есть общее представление.
Крупно еще показано, можешь посмотреть, как что соединяется, да, но... Я тоже не знаю, как операция бюджет, что у вас есть. Где должен быть каждый бюджет определяться? То есть, например, у нас будет какой-то там, Nintendo, да, ты должен сказать, мне нужны такие-то книги, может, мне нужно какого преподавателя, вы знаете, что может, когда я смотрю, что не приехали, давайте мы посмотрим, если есть у вас есть карта, можно это знать. По идее, вы заранее должны признать четко, потому что мы тоже не знаем, кому что понадобится и что еще. Мне это интересно, я не знаю, вам, наверное, сегодня
Почему?
тоже какие-то вещи. Интересно, потому что я ничего не знаю, что это, но вижу, что хотелось бы то, что увидели, практически посмотреть. А я думаю, да, они правда неправильно смотрят.
Наш молдавский спутник?
Да.
Они его разве подняли?
Я спросила просто коллегу, что хотела бы связаться с кем-то с наших коллег, но слышала одну спутники. Я то, что видела, был микроспутник, который подняли на гелиевом шаре, потом он просто спустился вниз и сделал какие-то фотографии. Это мне кажется, не то, что они имеют в виду.
Это единственное, что было. Но я не знаю, подняли как бы его или нет.
Да, был запуск на всякий час, несколько часов, по-моему. Они его подняли, пустили, он спустился.
Они собирали именно космический спутник, но вряд ли еще запустили.
У них много космических спутников, конечно, что
Политех собирал космический спутник, но вряд ли запустили.
то все-таки по-другому, они собирали космический спутник.
Нет, так может быть это было как часть каких-то испытаний, подняли.
Нет, на шаре это зонд, скорее всего, не спутник, а зонд.
Они называют типа микросателлит. Я не помню, что он микросателлит.
Может, наносателлит? По-моему, нано.
Может, наносателлит.
Там размеры просто идут и по весу, и по габаритам, они идут микро, нано, то есть это не связано с нанотехнологиями, это просто
я понимаю,
классификация этих.
То есть они занимаются, каким они занимаются космическим спутником?
Да. Идея была в том, чтобы собрать космический спутник, который будет, пролетая там над Республикой Молдова, фотографировать поверхность. Делать там вот как бы, ну, я знаю сколько там, за один, наверное, оборот фотографий. Ну, да, очень давно занимались.
Я пыталась на сайте Политеха найти, единственное, что я нашла, это именно про зон сателлит.
Контакты я могу сказать. Это вот здесь второй корпус, первый, второй корпус.
Это с
здесь в
1 августа,
центре.
да? Где
Да.
бассейн, где...
Да. Это кафедра вот, конструирования, она раньше называлась конструирование разработки радиоэлектронной аппаратуры. Вот на эту кафедру позвонить там. Ну, там на втором корпусе внизу идут энергетики, а на четвертом этаже вот эта кафедра идет. Можно найти контакт или фото, если нужно.
Просто говоришь, расскажем, что я рассчитывала на славу, но пока не знаю, конечно.
Ну, сам спутник я видел на студенческой. То есть у них там лаборатория, где
ну,
он стоит.
радиоэлектронную часть делают тут, а там механическую часть.
У них там лаборатория на студенческой, там спутник у них в отдельной комнате находится.
Нужно брать информацию, потому что слава пока не может найти его.
Да?
Да. Говорят, это Юрий говорит, что... То есть мы пока не знаем о том, чтобы он был
Запущен.
запущен.
Нет, запущен он не
Нет, если
запущен.
бы он был запущен, мы
Если
бы
бы запущен,
знали.
так уже знали бы.
А что вас интересует? Хотите связаться с теми, кто занимается этим
Да,
проектом?
конечно.
Ну, проще
Могут
всего
быть взаимные
сможете
интересы.
зайти на сайт если у вас сейчас есть доступ, УТМ, МД, там есть русская версия
Вот пока не
страницы.
получилось, пока нет человека именно...
Если не получится, так напрямую выйдем.
Да, это не проблема сейчас по интернету приживания.
Не, ну я просто мог бы сказать,
Просто
это
пользуясь случаем здесь.
Потому что то, что я начала видеть, это что можно представить типа микрозонд, микроспутник, потому что
Ну, микрозонд и наноспутник это две разные вещи.
наноспутник, типа он спустился вниз и...
Так это у нас еще школьники делают.
Да, лице есть.
Тоже до стратосферы добрались.
Мы уже запускали студенты.
Консак называется. Это запускали уже. А Клюпсат это уже... Это УНИСЕК, международная организация.
зависимо.
Но он
вот
просто
здесь,
очень медленный.
Не хочет чего.
Ну ладно.
Они оскинули меня туда...
No, because I just only asking on the cable of the soldering station.
Ну, что, нашли?
Им тоже нужна проверенная станция.
Some people, but let's start. Now I will have two parts of my lectures. First will be about satellite navigation system, and second about inertial navigation system. So we will cover the navigation part, the classical navigational part for this part of the event. If you will have some time and you will be interested, I can show you some also research areas we were exploring at our university about navigation in GPS, in GNSS denied environment, and also I can tell you maybe tomorrow or today even a little bit about this U-space concept that Krzysztof was mentioning today before the break, if you would be interested. About the GPS, I had here GPS and I had taken from the one, but I just had Conrad took them. I'll just bring them back. Okay, so let's start with the satellite navigation system. We have here the sensor for the satellite navigation that might be connected to these units here as well. Maybe we might try to do that tomorrow. Yeah. So today, I would like you to learn a little bit about the satellite navigation system. We all know about GPS, we have that in our cell phones and we use them. But maybe you don't really know how it works, what are the mechanics behind that. About satellite navigation system, I would like you to stress the idea that GPS is not the only and the sole satellite navigation system. We use the GPS name because it was the first global navigation system, and it's common to use that name. But there are a bunch of satellite navigation systems. Some of them are global, some of them are regional, and all of them are operative. And a little bit about using the satellite navigation for avionics, especially drone avionics, and maybe tomorrow we'll try to connect it, as I told you, to this autopilot we have here. What I will tell you today, especially about the satellite navigation system in general, what it is and how it works. Also I told you about the GPS and GNSS difference. About the regional navigation satellite systems, and about augmentation system a little bit, what it is and why we use it. There will be short few slides about the variety of receivers that we have, and at the end a little bit about navigation avionics. I really like this slide. This picture, I took it from the EASA site. That's the amount of satellites and small debris that is flying around the Earth right now. This is the scale is a little bit bigger, so the satellites are a little bit bigger than in reality. But that's the amount of the space, satellite debris and other stuff we have around us in the air right now. So there is a bunch of the satellites, and among that there are the satellites that are used for navigation purposes. Most of them are communication satellites. Some of them are just the parts of the satellite that are not used anymore, and they are still rotating around orbiting around our planet. That's also the reason why the calculation of the start of the rocket had to be precise to 1 second, or even 1 fracture of a second, because all of that debris in the air are now monitored. What is their position and what's the trajectory of that satellite, so that when we fly something to the space, it must not crash into any of that objects. That's a very important issue. That's why I always start the satellite presentation, satellite navigation presentation, with this slide. What is the satellite navigation system? What is this composed of? It is composed of the series of satellites placed in the specific orbits, and we know exactly how they move on that orbit. What will be their position in exactly the actual time. We send, satellites transmit information about their orbit, so which is their number, how they move, and the timing information. So when they the information of the time that they send the signal. So that's the packet that is going from the satellite to the receiver. And we have the receivers in our phones or on the drones that receive that information. They receive the information about time and the information about the satellite from which this time was sent. It's only the information about the time that is then recalculated according to the almanac and other information to the position of the receiver. We can now get the position accuracy up to few centimeters because of the augmentation systems, and because of the differential it also gives you the possibility to synchronize time, because GPS gives you the timing information, as I stressed that out. The only information that comes from the satellite to the user is time, the information about the time. That's more or less how the communication in the satellite system looks like. We get here the carrier, that's the wave that comes, and we get the code. This is the code of the satellite. With the code of the satellite. And it can be coded. We can have two types of the coding: the civil one and the military one, on two different carriers, as you can see. And the information, navigational information data, is coded with that signal, and then it is put it on the carrier and sent it to the ground. So the information about during with one of the codes, the PRN code, the navigational information, the signal that is received by the receivers looks like that. That's more or less the waveform that gets to the receiver, the GPS, the GNSS, the navigational receiver. How it works? Again, we have to estimate the position of the receiver. We need information at least from 3 satellites. From 3 satellites, we can get the position, the planar position with accuracy to few meters. With 4 satellites, we can start receiving more or less accurate to few meters, also the height of the receiver. So that's the minimum to receive signal, no matter what kind of the satellite system it is. You will need at least 3 satellites to determine the exact position. Two will be not enough. So that's more or less how it looks like. We will get those information, those time when the signal was sent, information, because it's the time of the satellite at the time of sending it, and because of the length, the distance between the receiver and the satellite, so the time difference between sending the information and receiving it, that's how the distance is calculated. And because receiver knows exactly what position of the satellite should be in the space at specific time, we get the information of our position as the triangulation method from 3 two positions. That's how it works. And on the side of the receiver, it does not really decode the information. It just compares. It just compares the information that it has the information how the code that he receives should look like, and the receiver just compares those signals. As long as it is compared, this one, for example, this information from the first satellite is totally different. From the second, it's totally different. From the third, it looks different, but it is not, because it is just shifted. So it's shifted by 10, so the difference is the shift is the time difference between sending and receiving one. That's how it, in general, the navigation works. Global navigation satellite systems. Nowadays, we have 4 global navigation satellite systems operating. So first, the most popular, the first one that was global is the GPS, the American one. Second one is Russian, just made few years later as they were competing, and they compete all the time. Second one is Galileo, it's European Union initiative supported by European Space Agency. It is still under development. It is already operative, but not fully operative. It works well if the receiver is double receiver, so it has not only Galileo possibility, but also the GPS as well. And we have the fourth one. It's Beidou. It's Chinese system. It is also on the stage of being operated, and it's starting to be. They're sending the satellite very often. So that's what we have here in this space. The GPS, the Global Navigation Satellite System, is composed, as most of the systems, probably all of the systems, from 3 segments. They propose this segmentation of the market, and that's how it was adapted by all the others. First, of course, is the space part. So all the satellites and constellation of the satellites determined by the structure of the system. Second part is the ground control segment. So all the antennas, all the radio antennas that receive the information of actual position of the satellites, because the almanac says us where the satellite should be, but it's not like that the satellite always keeps that position. It can shift a little bit. So those are monitoring stations around the world, just monitoring the situation in the airspace. And they are also sending some information to the satellite just to shift the position a bit. It has a little thrusters, the satellites with thrusters, so that they can shift a little bit the position if it really goes out of the orbit a bit. So that's how it works. And we have the user segment, of course, the most important, because all of that is just for the users, so that we can use it, we can know our position, we can track the vehicles and so on. That's how the control segment of the GPS looks like. So we have the master control station in Colorado. That's where all the important people sit. There is a couple of ground antennas that can track the satellite. So as you can see, they are distributed around the globe in that way that they will cover. They can track the satellite, each satellite, without losing the signal of it. That's the idea and the ideal situation, so that each satellite will be seen all the time by the control stations. And there are also some monitoring stations, the Air Force monitoring stations, they also monitor, and some tracking and traffic. That's the whole idea. So as many, if you have more stations, they are spread around the globe, you have the tracking possibility 24/7. Constellation of the satellites. I told you that it is important to see at least 4 satellites to have for the 3D for satellites for 3D position estimation. The first block of the satellites was launched in, as you can see, in 80s. Nowadays, the third block, the third block is in production, and it is planned to be sent after from this year on. This is the new block, and as you can see, they are putting time by time new satellites because there is a lifespan. Each satellite can work, operate in for some time. After that, it will be hit by some rock, by some debris. So it might not operate that well, and also all the electronic system there also have its lifespan. So it doesn't work forever. It needs to be changed. So as you can see, the Americans had already sent about 70 satellites to space, and half of them are now half of them here, less than half are operating right now. That's how it is in the space. That's more or less how the satellites look like. And here is the constellation of the GPS and how on the particular spots on the Earth, how many satellites are visible at any time. So it's more than 4, because if more satellites you see, the better accuracy of the position you get. So that's also the importance of combining different global navigation systems, not only using one. Just receivers that can track satellites from different systems get the better accuracy of the position, because they can see more satellites at one time. The multi systems track. First of all, they can get the position faster, and what is more, they see almost all the time around 10 satellites. So then you get a really good accuracy of the position. This slide's a little bit dark here, but that's how you get the information to your GPS. That's also some nice picture. So first, the tracking station uses radio to determine all orbits of GPS satellites. So it is tracking the orbit, as I told you. Second thing, the command center transmits orbital data, time directions, and location of other satellites to the GPS constellation. So it's just spreading the information so that each of them also know get the corrections accordingly to the tracking information. And third one, the satellite simultaneously send the time and the orbital data to Earth. That's what you get on the device. And after that, the device, the fourth one, the receiver just calculates the position accordingly to the satellite's position. That's how the whole concept of the GPS works, and the other global satellite systems as well. Concerning the GLONASS, we have less orbits here, as you could see in the GPS. We have only 3 orbits, and nowadays we have 24 satellites. It is changing constantly. I'll try to update that information every time before my presentation, because it happens that this one appears to be one already operational, or one of them had to be turned off. So it's in maintenance. Every time I put this presentation about the global navigational systems, I try to find out what is the actual status of the constellation. And again, those are the satellites, how they look like now of the global constellation. And you can see that all the control system of the ground sector here is only in Russia. They have all the stations in Russia only. Maybe they have something else, but they don't tell us. That's the only information you can get from their official GLONASS site. The all control systems are only in Russia. They have the half of the globe, so they just lose the tracking information for half of the time. So I think maybe they are good with that. That's how it works with GLONASS. About the Galileo, again, it's to like here. You can see the orbits, but the orbits here are more or less the same like with GLONASS. They are just a little bit on the different angles. But there are also 3 satellites, and as you can see here, the launching started in 2011, and every year they try to send some satellites in pairs. That's how it works. They want to send the satellites in pairs so that they will be on 2 different orbits, but on the similar position, so that the tracking will be better at the same time. That's how it works. And here, the control is also spread around the whole globe. Not so many control stations like with GPS, but also there is some. Galileo, different types of Galileo satellites. The GeoPay ones were sent and are not always operating anymore, so they were just for the test. Of the ability of sending that satellite, they are not operating anymore. 2 new models of the satellites, that was only 4 sent in this period, and now we have already 14 working. Those 2 that are the failure because they are not on the. They were sent not on the. It's seen, I think, on the previous picture. Here, they were injected into an incorrect orbit, but it was improved a little bit, and it is operating now properly. Beidou is the Chinese global satellite navigation system. It started from the local navigational systems where you have just the 2 satellites, 2 orbits of the satellites that were just moving constantly at the same position around the globe, and 4 geostationary satellites. So that was the beginning of the Beidou, so it was regional system. And they put it, on top of that, they put it some satellites also on 3 orbits here, the blue ones, that are orbiting around the globe. So then we got the global navigational system from the local one. They started with local, and then they went global. As you can see also here, you can see the tracking stations. They are also spread a little bit around the world. They just have 3 control stations apart from the regional navigation system, because from this regional navigation system also Australia, and here they also India, where not India have their own ones, but yeah, Japan was also using it. So that was the origin of this system. Going further, we get the regional system. First regional system on the list. It's Indian regional system. They are launching it. It's starting to be operated. There will be 3 geostationary satellites and 4 satellites that will be geosynchronous, like the previous one. So they make the 8s on the map. You can see it's just moving like that. So it is not geostationary because it's not holding the position. It is moving, but it is moving all the time above the same region. It is not orbiting around the whole globe. It is just moving stationary about some position. And this also covers the similar area as the Beidou, but it is independent from that. And as you can see, it covers the area of the Indian Ocean and the India itself. So it is designed by them and prepared for this region. Second one is the one prepared by Japan. We have 3 quasi-zenithal satellites on the orbits that are moving here above Australia and Japan. It is originally Japan, but they are cooperating with Australia because it covers the region as well. They started with those quasi-zenithal satellites, so they have the quasi-zenithal satellites here nowadays, but they want to move also to get 3 satellites moving on such the HEO orbits, and one will be geostationary here at the beginning. They want to put that 4 satellite constellation in the next year so that they will have the 7 satellite constellation around their area, and that's the idea of the system. Here is the compatibility chart. So which systems can use the same sensors, the same receivers, because they are totally the same. They use the same coding and the same frequencies. Those are GPS and quasi-zenithal systems. So Japan cooperates with US in this system totally. It is independent system, but it uses the same frequencies. So the same sensors can be used directly here. The other ones uses the same frequencies, but the coding is a little bit different here, especially in this neutral frequency. Here you can see that L5 is the same, because also the sensors should be more or less the same. That's the whole concept, the global concept of the satellite. Here is the comparison chart of the constellations. Can you tell me which constellation belongs to which system? First one. No system.
Probably India.
It's India. This one, the easiest one. This is the GPS. Americans make a lot of fuss in this course, as you can see, because they have a lot of orbits and a lot of satellites. But this is the GPS. And the easy one also, this one. Japan. No, Japan. This is Japan. And this is Japan because it's only one quasi-zenithal orbit. And this is China. This is China. And those two. Which one is which? Which one? This Russia, and this is the Galileo because of the one orbit because of this one orbit that is true. That's how it was. This is from the software that shows you a lot of constellations. You can track the satellites there. It is not free software, but you can have the free screensaver with the constellations moving around your screen where the satellites are shown. So that's okay. Augmentation system. What is it? Augmentation systems give you the correction of the position because of the geostationary satellites that are put additionally to the satellites of the constellation. It's called SBAS, Satellite-Based Augmentation System. A part of that, I didn't put the slide here, is the ground-based augmentation system that have the pseudo-satellites that are that are sending similar signal to the satellites, same signal to the satellite, but are on the ground. So the affects the disturbances of the signal that comes from the space, from the atmosphere, is neglected. And in that way, also in some areas like airfields, the airports, you can get the better accuracy of the position just on the small area. So that's the ground-based augmentation system. And another way of improving the quality is, as I told you, is the differential possibilities to correct the position set by the GPS, so that we have the one GPS receiver that is geostationary, put it somewhere, and it sends its position to the other. So then we have the differential position between two objects. That's also used very often with the drones. Here is again how we calculate our position, just knowing the time and the distance. Knowing the time and the position, we know the distance from the satellite, and we can recalculate the position knowing the time. So it is so-called the pseudo range. It's not exactly the range because it's calculated with the time. Here is also some information about what I have told you about. So how it is coded, the global navigation system, how they work, what are the codes, the carriers, what are the problems with frequencies, and at the end is what I found is the GNS market report. So how the market was, the GNSS of the navigation system market is changing. As you can see here, it is estimated that the amount of the system, like it started to increase, like double here through the 2 years, then it will just start to shrink because the market will be full already. The only market that I didn't put it here, but it was in the survey, is the rail. Because as you can see, it's only the fracture percentage now used in the railway, and it is estimated that it will be more used in the railway systems. So the tracking of the trains will be done with the usage of the GPS. So this, what is pulling here, the situation that increases here, is only the rail. All the other are more or less the full. As you can see, the highest value is for the smartphones, for the mobile communication. So you have it in your pocket. You don't have the separate system for localization. But the separate localization system that we had at the very beginning, just the GPS receivers, are also included in this position. Our aviation, the drone aviation, that's 1%, is estimated to change like that. So the increase is still estimated to be a little bit like 400 units, but it's still smaller than it was at the beginning. And it is estimated that unmanned aerial vehicles are the promising and emerging target for GNSS, because we are getting in the moment that, as my friend already told you, that we will start introducing the usage of autonomous systems, of autonomous drones in the urbanized areas. So for that we need the precise positioning, not only GNSS, but that's the most common one, and it will be for sure as a must. And that's why they also mentioned it in this mark. Some references. I really recommend you the Navipedia. It's a little bit outdated, as I have seen in the last few days when I was checking the presentation. It is, but it's some information are still valuable, but be careful about some information that should be up to date. So for that, better check the GPS, GLONASS or EASA sites, to get the information about the global satellite navigation system directly from the operators. That is just an introduction on Novatel. It is a little bit similar to some information on Navipedia, when you can get some basic information how the satellite navigation system works, if you would like to increase that knowledge. Okay, thank you very much for your question. I will show you here, I had some sensors here, I don't know where it happened, at least not this version of the presentation, but there were supposed to be some slides about the receivers itself. I just went through some information. Here we have the receiver in this set of scissors thing. I will show you how the receiver looks like on this particular system. It is important to know, because some people just wonder. Okay, we have the receiver. The receivers are also miniaturized all the time. And as you can see, it is shielded. As I told you about the electromagnetic compatibility, this is under the shield, the metal shield. It's covered. The controller of the receiver is shielded, and here you can get it is the antenna for the system. So it is the ceramic one. This is the antenna, and also some shielding here. Very important issue. In your phones, you get the smaller antenna. The sensor is more or less the same nowadays. So, but bigger antenna gives you the better possibility to receive the signal. So it is also the small one for the drones. You can change it to the smaller one if you want. If the weight is the issue, and you fly in the area with the good coverage, then you can have the smaller antenna. But if you go to the areas where, or you want to get the very accurate positioning, then you should get the bigger antenna with the bigger dBm parameters. So that's the idea of the GPS. As you can see, there's a lot of pins inside the receiver, but for the user, what is important are only two information. So receiver and transmit pin. Receive and transmit pin. So you get from this, you get only the information, the data packet. I didn't put it on the slide. The information in the satellite system that comes from the receiver to the users is only the most often in most systems is information in NMA standard, NMEA 0180, I think, as I remember. And then you just get the packet, which is written for the serial interface. You get the packet. You can choose the packet you want to be sent to you. So then you just get the position, velocity, height, and so on and so forth. Only the important information that is required for your system to be used. Maybe we will find out possibility during the programming part or during the autopilot part tomorrow, and show you how what are the packets sent in that particular system. But if we will not be able, it's really easy just to have those two pins. You just charge it. You just put the power to the system, and it automatically starts sending the packets about the information that were sent to it. To what kind of the information is supposed to be sent. So that's what we have about the GPS. So if you have any questions, please ask. If not, we can have like 10-minute break, just to sip some water, and we will move to the INS communication. Yeah, I will take some. Okay.
Я не понимаю. Не смотрю. А сколько не работает? Сколько не работает?
Oh, porque ela disse que
Ah.
Это то, что касалось ремонта.
Ясно.
Noi facem pauză, deci nu.
написали, что мы будем
Ничего раньше.
долбить.
Ну, потом будем писать. Она сказала, что не будем писать. Официально отправили список все. Мы будем потом писать чуть позже. Что сейчас писать? Как что?
Ну, это да.
Рискнуть? Пробовать какие-то.
Сегодня ты включил телефон. Я тоже вчера не поставил, что компьютер, весь лаптоп. Задавай селекцию. Рассчитывал на какой-то.
Что-то в лаборатории должны были считать.
Я снизился, что перебрал.
Это сегодня только два компьютера включили, еще эти два включены. Если хотите, можете записать номер телефона кафедры вот с этого университета, и там сейчас будет, и они сделают.
И кого?
Что-что?
И кто?
Ну, запишите номер вообще, или давайте я вам сразу на первую бумажку.
А как? Кто? Персонаж?
Ну, это вообще телефон кафедры, и шеф кафедры ее зовут, сейчас я напишу. Но вы прямо объясните, что вы насчет.
А как кафедра называется?
Так, она раньше называлась конструированное производство радиоэлектронной аппаратуры, сейчас она просто называется радиоэлектроники, они там периодически меняют.
Хорошо.
В общем, электроника и...
Хорошо, спасибо.
Просто
нас это
22
I
это
mean, the
код
symbol
города, но все номера в городе надо начинать с этого.
все равно все там.
Да, да.
То есть городские телефоны с 22 начинаются, да? То есть 0,20. 0,20.
Если вы будете из-за границы звонить, вы просто уже будет 370.
Нет, это понятно.
Без номера.
Это понятно.
Okay. Yes, yes, okay, at 4. We will be at 4. Okay. Okay, we will meet here. For sure. Because we will finish, I think, in an hour or something, so then we will just come here at 4.
Just want to go with this information partner to our team.
Okay. Okay, so I'll wait for you. I'll wait for you. Czego?
Na ostatnie miejsce dla praktycznie ostatnich kilku zastosów do 2017.
To się nie wspierają, żeby tego? Widziałaś te? Pobiegła?
Widziałem.
Ta strona osobowa mi się podoba, fajnie.
Właśnie, no, będzie
секретарь.
Никто не может не говорить,
Какой еще страшный? Высадка. Конечно, когда начинаем бежать по шкафу. Это важно, это оботрезно, правильно. Ja sam myślę, że ja się. Nie ma jakiegoś takiego zdania krytycznego na temat takich rzeczy. My się to musimy po jakimś czasie coś takiego popracować.
Пробовалось не шкаф, контрдунявый. Так, мелочки, солдат поладил, опелки. Он поладил опелку. Наш, ты сказал, плату. Видишь?
Да, я представляю.
To trzeba przepisać.
У вас есть телефон Татьяны? Не знаю. Нет. Нет, нет.
Татьяна Гурмада?
Да.
А есть...
Нет, я могу дать, но она нам говорила, что не все знают телефон, и в случае чего могут обращаться к ней.
Там большие проблемы у этого мужчины.
Да. Я тоже не сказала, я позвонила.
Да,
Но я ей позвоню, но... Знаю,
да, чтобы хотя бы позвонили в гостиницу, но не дали на номер, если такие вот...
Адрес да.
У него двери не закрываются, воды вообще нет.
А в квартире живешь, что ли? Не в отеле?
Да, какая-то гостиница, вот на Армянской 23. Ну, все нормально.
Просто она не сказала, что он должен с ней говорить, а ни телефон, ничего.
Ну, хотя бы позвонить в эту гостиницу и узнать, в каком он номере. Он вообще не спал всю ночь, потому что не закрываются двери, он боялся всю ночь. Вот она, Жанна мне говорит, я говорю, а что надо говорить все время, если какие-то проблемы, вы же с другой стороны. Обязательно надо.
Татьяна Борисова, Наталья.
Как называется гостиница?
Месседжес.
Как?
Месседжес.
Нет, это вообще
маленькая.
непонятно.
Частный, может быть, и частный.
Сейчас все частные.
Не все частные, ну, что идет, да,
Прям совсем скоро, да.
есть хорошие.
И фермы сидели.
Частные вообще там.
Я думаю, это будет один
Две комнаты.
Хотя бы поменять.
И сингл,
А почему туда не решили?
Жанна, это вы сами пришли, да?
Картинки симпатичные, чем в жизни.
Ой, картинка, да.
Армянская 23 это выше Штефана или нет?
Выше.
Выше?
Да.
Ближе сюда.
Ну, получается, 2 квартала от Штефана наверх. Если подняться наверх, по правой стороне. Это правильно. Жанна говорит, что за 5 дней, нет, за 6 дней стоит 20 евро.
Получается 20 евро на ночь.
Обычно гостиница 50 евро. Бабушки открылись двери, и вода что было, такие уже люди. И вообще, когда что не пришел ко мне, как-то, ресепшн. А мне
Татьяна говорит, что она рекомендовала 3 отеля, которых она знает. А это не что-то выбирали, то есть нужно обращаться в администрацию. Она не знает, что
же
это
хотя бы поменять номер, или там сделать ему дверь, что он будет
Я
всю ночь
думаю,
сторожить.
не должен быть, должен сам подходить, конечно. Может, не было на первом. Кстати, я поговорю с ней. Я спрошу.
Жалко, что не ушел.
Потому что она говорит, что отели, которые они рекомендовали, они другие отели рекомендовали. И, видимо, вы нашли вашего быть, нашли сами по... И не имеет никакого влияния. Надо же знать, что...
Не, ну просто помочь, может там проблемы с переводом, с языком, там может
Да,
Нет, он говорит просто, что у нас в отеле
Ну, в отеле могут не говорить по-русски.
не спрошу, жалко, что не шел, потому что я не знаю, я бы ему позвонила, даже знаю, где e-mail только у нас, по-моему, есть общий. Не знаю, телефон.
Что-то надо было сделать список всех телефонов, были какие-то проблемы.
Ну, e-mail, я знаю, что у меня просто общий e-mail, другой знаю. И то...
Но там в подписи Татьяны, что там есть ее телефон.
Нет, Татьяна мне позвонила.
Она сейчас позвонила, узнала точно, хотя бы сделала.
Просто Татьяна мне тоже e-mail, не имеет телефона, она не наш.
Ваш коллега в прошлой неделе, по-моему, в другой гостинице жил. Ваш коллега, вот, который был на прошлой неделе, его сдали.
У него какая-то гостиница
Грачья.
Грачья. Как?
Грачья. Нет, его звали Грачья, я не знаю.
Грачья, да.
А Жанна не знает. Знаешь?
Грачья, да.
Вы с одного университета же.
Да.
Он, по-моему, в другой гостинице жил, да?
Нет, другой, да.
Я не спрашиваю.
Как-то он говорил,
У вас все в порядке, да?
А вы где остановились?
Олси.
как?
Олси,
А, вот, наверное, он тоже в этой гостинице.
Нет, он не у нас.
Нет, это тот,
На
который
прошлой
на
неделе.
неделе из коллега.
Из Армении.
Нормально это. Единственное, что у нас трансфер, в общем, они нас не встретили. Но это потому, что, наверное, нас самолет опоздал на 2 часа.
А у нас из прямой рейс?
Нет, мы через Вену летели. Нет, ну мы
Это даже через Минск.
Нет, в Минск вообще нет, только через Москву, либо через Киев. Нет, 24 часа это перелет. Поезд.
Не, я знаю, говорят, что по сообщению только поезд.
Да, поезд. А так через Вену, ну мы привыкли, через Вену нормально. У нас до Вены 1:20.
Да, я всегда тоже.
Вот, и дальше в разные места. Мы обычно через Франкфурт, через Вену. Вот так. где-то.
Самолет опоздал, но вы договаривались, то есть вас сообщали с ним?
Да. Вот, ну, нормально, полетели. Но почему-то гейт поменяли. Ну это ну, бывает, господи, 1,5 часа, не сутки.
На 1,5 часа задержали, да?
Задержали. У меня такое подозрение, что сам самолетом шел. Потому что мы начали на один день, подтащили самолет, там потом долго что-то с ним возились, потом мы поменяли дверь и подвезли другой самолет. Ну, все нормально, но самолет был забитый.
Какая авиакомпания, вы знаете?
Как всегда, Austrian, да, нормальная компания.
Не только Austrian, да? Там просто есть и, сейчас есть и Люфтганза, есть
Ну, это Люфтганза, это...
Это, собственно, Austrian Airlines, это собственность Люфтганза. То есть, нет, это Люфтганза это немецкая компания, они купили какую-то...
Люфтганза купила Austrian Airlines?
Там почти, если общаюсь, половина европейских компаний, не все. Нет, очень много. Италии.
Все, спасибо. Спасибо большое.
Позвонили?
Да.
Более простой путь, потому что
А что, на гостинице проблемы какие?
Мне сказали, Евгений сказал, что дверь не закрывается, воды нет. Странно, потому что такие прям, вопрос решался в администрации, если их не было на ту ночь, допустим, я не думаю, что...
Не, ну а мы по букингу заказывали. Если по букингу, то это вопрос по букингу и проблема.
Да.
Okay.
Это странно.
So, so we will go to the final part of today lectures, inertial navigation systems. You might probably know that, especially for multirotors, the inertial navigation system, at least part of that, is a crucial thing, because without that, it will not fly at all. The smallest, the least advanced systems, I think with the one we have here, just to learn how to fly, doesn't have really the navigation system. It doesn't really even have the inertial measurement unit. It just uses the gyroscopes. It might be enough for you, because it will only react to the angular velocities that appear. I have seen such toys that use only the gyroscopes, and it's enough just to respond to that. But it needs that, because it is statically unstable system, so you need some device that will tell you its orientation in the space. Without that, it won't fly. Or you might be lucky that it will start, but it won't fly. So today, I will tell you what the inertial navigation is, what are the components of inertial navigation system, how it works, what are the types available, what's the difference between them, and how we use them in drone surveillance. I already told you about the quadrotors and multirotors, that it is a need, it is required. The most important for me when I teach students is to see the difference between IMU, INS, and FRS. Because those are just letters. They appear in many publications on websites, but you need to read carefully, because most people don't use it in a proper way. And for me, as well as with navigation, satellite navigation, the differences that if we consider the satellite navigation, we don't tell always the GPS, because it's just borrowing the idea of the satellite navigation. We should use the GNSS. Here, we also have to know the difference between IMU, between INS. It's the very important issue because INS gives you the possibility to navigate, to locate, and IMU gives you only the data about the position. So that's, in my opinion, very important to teach in a way that you find the difference between those two norms. Inertial navigation is in general the navigation that uses the information about the motion. It senses the motion, it tracks the position and orientation of the object, velocity, without any external record, just using the sensors, put it on board. So it's totally passive system. It doesn't use any information from the outside. But the problem with inertial navigation is that it has a high bias. So the position inaccuracy increases in time. That's the main disadvantage of inertial navigation. That's why it's, I will tell you about it at the end, but it is supported very often by different systems that corrects the position in time. For example, now we have the project that we are using, making some kind of this system. Also, there is a possible part of positioning system for trams, where inertial navigation system is included, but we correct the position using the optical sensors. So we have the camera that senses the markers that are on the way. So every kilometer or every station, it does get the position, exact position of the tram, and it is calculated. So it only calculates according to inertial navigation the position during the ride on the way. How the inertial measurement unit, so the IMU, is composed. The minimum which all of the inertial measurement unit has is 3 axial or 3 gyroscopes, 3 axial or 3 accelerometers. The device you have here, it is just this. The sensor itself is just this small square box here. The other are just peripherals, and it's so big because it's here, so that you can just get the information from it. The sensor itself is just this small box here. It's the same one or similar into this one. This or this, I don't see the numbers, but one of those. What you can have from here, the capability of this device, maybe not the accuracy, but the capabilities of these devices are the same as this. This one, the big one, are still used on the military airplanes. It's like bigger than this box here, twice or 3 times so big. Because those are just the gyroscopes that are accelerometers. Just put it together. The system that it works on is a little bit different. I'll tell it in two slides. But the basic concept is the same. The accuracy that you get about the angular positions and accelerations might be higher than with this MEMS technology. That's why it is not so widely used in the military aerospace and so on. Of course, this technology is much cheaper. You can get it for a few dollars nowadays. Just this box. It is really useful for such systems like drones and so on. So, we can use it. What I would like to show you here, what is also somewhere on the web pages appears like this DOS, degrees of freedoms. It is really, in my opinion, it's really strange to show that the INS or IMU unit, because they call it differently, has some kind of degrees of freedom, because for them, 10 degrees of freedom means the amount of the because you will have their 3-axial accelerometers, 3-axial gyroscopes, so that's for them 6 parameters, and you get 3 parameters, additional 3 parameters from magnetometer, and you get the pressure, the height from the barometer. So for them, the amount of degrees of freedom is the amount of raw values that you can get from the sensors. It's not really from the physical point of view the degrees of freedom. It's just the amount of the independent values you can get from the sensors on board. That's important when you read such information in the data sheets or in the shops, in the online shops. I also stress that out very often, because sometimes you even can find like 12 degrees of freedom here, where you have also the GPS or something like that. So then they put it like that, and it might be a little bit confusing. The accelerometers, gyros, is just the general concept how it works. I think that you might be familiar with that. The accelerometer does the moving mass. With the gyros, we have different types of gyroscopes. For the purposes of the plane navigation, for the airplane navigation, those I showed you, the spinning wheels are changed very often with those, with fiber optic or laser. The price is different, it's more expensive, but the accuracy is even higher with those type of gyroscopes. And the undual rate is higher. Also the accelerometer is computer. Here you can get a little bit of categorization of the IMUs, especially about the positioning performance. That's really important for those military navigation and tactical. Right? For us as drones, when drones are considered, we can use AHRS. AHRS is the abbreviation for Attitude and Head Reference System. I very often put it as the separate, as the third, as you can see on the first slide. The IMU, INS, and AHRS. What's the difference between them? AHRS for me, let's put it like that. IMU senses is only the sensing platform. You have just the sensors there. For sure, you need those 3-axial accelerometers, 3-axial gyroscopes. With AHRS, we have also included some basic calculations, because we get from that already angles. You can get some angular position. So there is a basic possibilities of onboard calculations. That's for me. Also, it's my personal opinion about the AHRS itself, because you can not only get the raw data like from IMU, but you also get already some angles of position. And on top of that, we get the INS. The INS that have the computer with the mathematical models, with some mathematics included, and calculates exactly the position, the changes in your position. So that's the difference. I also sometimes show during my lectures, my presentations, that I put the AHRS as another system apart from the IMU. Here I found the IMU categorization where AHRS was put inside that. Inertial navigation, it's a little bit similar to the information that was on the some previous slides. What you need to navigate inertially, so you need the velocity, position, attitude. That's what you get from the inertial navigation system. That's what you need at the beginning, the starting point. You need the starting velocity, you need the starting position in the starting attitude to start calculating the position using the inertial sensors. You get from integration of acceleration, you get the velocity, the position, and integrating the angular rate, you get the direction. So that's the basic idea. Very shortened way, showing in a very shortened way, because all of that is a little bit more complex because of those navigation equations you get and you implement in the system. Coming back to inertial navigation, here is also the concept of the whole navigation, inertial navigation unit, measurement unit. That's how it works. So this is the system that is put on the frame, with the frame, so it's stabilized by frames. So the position of the platform is always parallel to the ground. It's like that. And the second one, the one we have here as well. So it's the measurement unit that is connected to the platform, and it always has the position of the platform. The calculation algorithm, the mathematical equation, navigation equations are different for two models. Next slide will show you the scheme. And here, this one, as I told you before, if I remember right, this one was sold as 12 degrees of freedom IMU or INS, I don't remember that. This is the vector nav. This is a very good and very good value of money if you consider the INS system, because it is integrated already with GPS and it has a lot of algorithms inside. So if you consider looking for some, maybe not cheap, but relatively cheap INS system for a drone that you want to build yourself, the vector nav I can recommend. Here you can see the difference I told you about. So the one with the platform, with the stabilizing platform, is like that. That you have on the separate line in the separate diagram we have the orientation because of the stabilization. That's where the information of the orientation gets from the gimbal, and from this you get the position. When we are talking about the system that is fixed to so it's the strap down inertial navigation system. So it is connected to the frame of the object. Then the gyroscope. From the gyroscopes you get the orientation, and that information also needed to be of the orientation needed to be sent to the system, so that we get the position correctly because of the changes of the position of the whole object. So because of that, the accelerations are in the different frame system. So you need to recalculate the frames. The scheme of the inertial navigation system is, as I told you, like that we get the IMU, which is inside the INS system. So INS system gets the information from IMU, recalculates it, getting the attitude, velocity, position, height, depth, whatever. So you get the space position in space and its orientation in space from the INS. That's the idea. So you can track the position. When we consider AHRS, it's much simpler here for me, and you get just the orientation. It happens like that. Nowadays there are not such objects, such devices. Few years earlier, there were devices that didn't have the possibilities to recalculate everything. That's why I separated the AHRSs during my previous lectures at the university, because we got some devices that were called AHRSs, and they were only able to get you the directions, the angles. We didn't have the position. Here is the concept, one of the concepts of correction of the inertial navigation system. I took it also from some web page. It's one of the concepts because you get additional information about the positioning that corrects every line here in the meantime, and after that, after the common filters and some smoothing, you get the corrected position in time. So the problem of INS itself that gives you the when the error increases in time, it's solved by this reset here that comes from the common filter. The other way, the most popular one, as I have already showed you, oh, wrong, it was should be GNSS INS, not GNSS GPS. The other way, very popular, as I showed you on this slide, is that you have connected, integrated ENSS with GPS receiver. So all the information from the INS are corrected with GPS. Why is that? Because GPS, the fastest GPS I think now is 10 Hertz. 10 Hertz. So you get the information in 10 Hertz frequency. While INSS can work like 200 Hertz or even higher frequency. So with fast-moving objects, it's really important, like rockets or something, to control it, not every 10 Hertz, so it's 1/10 of the second, but faster. It's one of the reasons. The other reason is that when you lose the GPS signal, you can still track your position with INS, and when you restore the GPS signal, you will just correct the INS position in the control system, not in the real time. So that's the solution. You already know about the GNSS. I will have to correct this slide. And that's how it can be used. And it's most popular way of correcting the GNSS, the ENS system with the GPSs. The other ways, I might show you later, are the ways that we are developing at our university for GPS denied environment. And that will be all for INSS. I was thinking about putting more equation and more mathematics here, but I decided that it might not be the level we need here, that we will learn how to really calculate the position with different ways here, because we have the possibility to use the quaternions, we can use the rotational matrix, the directional cosines, and so on and so forth. It depends on the algorithm we use to calculate the position with different algorithms. So you might get deeper into that if you want during those lectures, but I think on this level of learning how to build a drone and how to use it, this knowledge is enough. So that was my idea. Just to get the concept and use the proper names of the equipment and know what the process concept of each system. Do you have any questions for me?
No.
Okay, so thank you. If you have still some time, I will just go fast through that presentation I told you about the other navigation systems we developed at our university for GNSS denied environment. I have the presentation I have shown a few weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, during the NATO advanced training course. That was Harket. It's navigation GNSS denied environment, and I showed the systems we use. the SLAM methods, simultaneous location and mapping, we developed at our university. So the basic idea of the SLAM, of simultaneous location and mapping, is that you have on board your for example, browsers or other drone, the sensor that allows you to get the distance of the objects around it, and because of the distances from the different objects in the around it, it calculates its position. Like on the slide, this everything here is the corridor, scanned corridor, with some different amount of scans, and this is the calculated position in that environment, inside that environment. It is not so independent like the system that I showed you before, so the inertial navigation system, because it sends the information outside. So it is not passive, it's an active system, but it still doesn't require any information from the outside. It emits the light itself. How the SLAM, simultaneous location and mapping works? Generally, it gets two things. First, equation of motion. So you need the mathematical model of the object, and you calculate the position. For example, with IMU, with INS. After that, you get the INS. You can get an encoder if you have the robot, the driving robots on the ground. So you just get an encoder that calculates the position from the wheels. Or if you are going outside the buildings, you can use the satellite navigation to get the position of the object, so the correction of the motion. The other round, the other line is the modeling of the environment. So you get the LiDAR. I think you have told about the LiDARs already. But in the concept of detect and avoid, these LiDARs or structured lights of time-of-flight cameras that can model you the environment around you are the sensors that can have a dual use. So it can both sense and avoid, sense and detect all the obstacles around the drone, but it can also gives you the modeling part. So it can also draw you the map of the environment in which you are flying. And on top of those two equations, of those two modeling, you get the SLAM algorithm. So the simultaneous location and mapping algorithm that gives you the possibility to show you the position. Those are just the simple kind of LiDARs you can find on the market. And these kinds of the LiDARs I have been using. It's quite cheap. Also nowadays you can get the LiDARs that rotate around, so you get a better position. The thing with the LiDAR is that you get the information only in one plane on which the laser operates. So all the points you get are from the one line. If you want to get height, another line, you need to change the height of the drone, for example. So you scan like that, line. So you get the lines accordingly to the height of the drone. The other system is structured light sensor. It can be found in the games, in the consoles like Xbox, or you can get one from the Asus as well. So you send the pattern of light on the objects around, and the other camera just receives the signal. So all the crooks you get here of the lines of this line are interpreted by the camera that sends that light. Different form factors as well, different sizes of the system. Time of flight cameras. Those I haven't been using yet, but I think we will order them soon. The limitation of them is that they are supposed to be working only indoor, because the sunlight is the problem for them. They need another light sources to light the object around, and then because of that light, time of flight, time of flight of that light that was sent and then sensed after getting to the object is sensed by the camera. So that's the basic concept of working there. At the university, we have developed the 3D LiDAR from one-dimensional LiDAR, just starting to moving it. So we didn't need to change the position of our object. We just moved the LiDAR, so in that way we just get the 3D model. That's how it looked. That's basic concept how it worked. Some equations we got to calculate the area, and some results we got. So it was the whole frames just separated, very accurate net we got. So the changes, because we were moving this with the servo mechanism. So the changes, the steps we got were very good. We were really surprised with the results. Here are just some results. We tested how our dot behaves when we rotate the sensor, if they correspond one to another. So all the mathematics after behind that was good. Then we made some tests with different objects like blackboard. So the blackboard was not sensed. Only in front of the sensor we got some information about the distance. Then we draw the smile face with the white chalk, and it was sensed. So the color of the object that is very important for the light sensors, because dark just absorbs the light and it doesn't return to the sensor. So it's very important. Some results. Then we checked about with glasses. We also didn't sense the glass. Only you can see here the shape of the glass here was sensed a little bit here. You can see the crux of the whiteboard behind because of that. Very interesting was the idea with the not idea, but the test with the mirror. We got the situation that the object was set behind the mirror. So it was like we will have the wall door here or something. So the person was outside. I was set behind the wall. It was very interesting and very important for the purposes of navigation or for the purposes of detect and avoid systems, because in that cases all the mirrors or reflective materials might appear like a door or a place where the drone can fly in, and in reality it's just an obstacle. So you need to add some other sensing devices, some sensors, like the one that Krzysztof was showing you, that integrates the light, the ultrasound, and so on, because then you just get the mixture of different sensors that sense different objects. It is also important for SSMI. Here some project. Second part, we made a hemispherical module. Because we got the structure light sensor, that sensor here, and we also rotated it. So we got the possibility to get the whole room with a few seconds. Those are the components of the system. That's how it looked like. Two versions. First version with the encoder and the electrical motor, and the second one with the stepper motor. So we just didn't need the we didn't need the encoder here. We just rotated it accordingly to the steps. It appeared to be good because we started with that because we thought we can run continuously. We will get the high velocity of the object. We will get very fast information, a lot of information about the obstacles around us. But in the reality, it was like that if we started moving too fast, we didn't get the information at all because it sent the information but it couldn't read it back. So even though we had continuous electric drive, we just stopped for a fraction of a second just to get sensing information. So the stepper motor, in our opinion, was better, good enough. Here's some results from our sensor. Here was the also very interesting result. So we got the ball of the like few centimeters dimension, not dimension but diameter, and we just were moving it from the sensor outside and deeper. And at one point we didn't sense the pole itself, but we got the shape of it. So like all the information, not the information, but the light was spread on the pole, but didn't return to the sensor itself. So in case of sense and avoiding, you can also not only track the object but also look at the shape. If you lose some information, that means that there is something that you can't sense directly and you don't know what it is. So we treated that areas as the potentially dangerous areas, and we marked it also as an alpine zone. Here's some also results from different perspectives. There were boxes, the poles, and so on that we started to sense. And here's the room built from the sensor with all the objects that were sensed there. Okay, let's move forward a little bit because that's not really the scope here. Here is the another test. We also put it on different angles that looked at how our algorithm worked to correct the positions. And now going to the SLAM algorithms. It might be also very interesting for you here when you have such very interesting drone laboratories to work maybe a little bit on the SLAMs. I don't remember if you have bought some LiDARs here as well or not, but it might be interesting to do some student job. As I told you, those simple laser scanners are not so expensive, so you can start working on that. Different kind of algorithms. Parametric needs those two lines I showed you before. Non-parametric can work only on the information from the sensors that maps the environment. Doesn't need the information from the encoders and just work on the position from the obstacles around the sensors, and hybrid gets the advantages from both of the systems. That's basically, and some other things like that. They find the particles in the different way. Here are some SLAM tests we made with the driving system, with the LiDAR, one-dimensional LiDAR. There's supposed to be a video of them. Yeah, the robot just drives in the room around the suitcase, gets the obstacle in the middle. In the real time, you get the information back to the object. We started with driving. Just flying. We don't have any sensors that, as you know, crashing into the wall. So it moves like that. So the room and build this guy. here was the comparison of different SLAM methods. This one was the best, and we used this because here you can see that the frames from different positions are not really put it in a good position. Here's the whole laboratory, and another thing we have built after that, the stereo vision modules. So as I told you, we have some projects with optical sensors as well. So we built the stereo vision module also on personal robot that was sensing some objects and tracking the position according to that. Here are some examples of different systems. If you are interested in SLAM, in implementing the SLAM, I think this is the best way to start it. It's from MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Just a book written by professors, a tutorial approach to simultaneous location and mapping. So it's not for dummies. You can just download it from the repository. It was cited in many publications, in the scientific publications like that at the time. If you Google it, you can find it. It's not really. It's really the guidelines how to start your experience with SLAMs, and I also always give it as the first book to read for students that want to get into SLAMs. That will be all for today. If you don't have any questions, you can please ask. I think we can finish today's first lecture. Thank you.
В крайнем случае, с компьютера есть.
Уже два установленные, но его сейчас написала система установки. Да, только если у кого-то есть, я не сказала, что досталось.
Да, ну принесем. Что страшного, если даже будет чуть-чуть обвисать. Не успели люди с вами.
Сказали так, что она, в принципе, сама по себе от этого несколько отошла, но у них там есть центр, оказался при университете, который поддерживается ректором. Ну и заместитель этого ректора, ну ректор сам, глава, и заместитель его выступит с их кафедры. Вот она с ним свяжется, договорится, как можно будет встретиться. Хорошо. В принципе, дал координаты либо по вайберу, либо по почте электронной.
Надеюсь, вам будет интересно.
Да, спасибо. Спасибо. До завтра.
До свидания.
До свидания. Ну, треба се да спускала рапорт, він пишаємо перевіряється техніка, да, йому ж чи треба саш
To jest ten. Remote control. To jest ten żółty motyl, nie wiem czy. Ale to transmitter. Ale nie, bo tu mamy cały podłączony, nie wiem gdzie jest aparatura. Podłączone.
Ta nie? Nie, bo to była taka stała z tym. Do you know where is this radio that was here?
The one that we, the big one that we paired with the sensor.
батарею. Вообще, я точно не знаю. Долго проверить, что там? Here is.
It is here?
So, Krzysztof, ty...
Krzysztof, nice to meet you.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, it's
That's
here.
right.
Okay. It's okay.
So, thanks.
Okay.
To zasilanie bateryjne złącze z zrobione? No wiesz? Ciężko się zrobić.
Tu jest.
A,
Tu jest. Tu jest. To jest bateria.
ale to już
To nie może być razem.
Może być też.
Jest separated, myślisz? To podłączyć? Tu
Zobacz,
nie.
czy w ogóle masz gdzie to włączyć.
To ma, tu.
Aha, tu jest. A do tego?
To jest tu podłączone potem.
A nie powinno być do powera?
Nie wiem, świeci się. W momencie, gdy
No
to podłączę,
świeci-
się świeci.
nie, nie.
Ale
A.
jak odłączysz i podłączam, to się świeci.
Aha,
No.
dobra, no, okej.
Nie wiem, jak ktoś to podłączyli, którędyś.
Ciekawe. No dobra, to sprawdźmy co w ogóle.
Nie wiem, którędy. Tu masz, tu przez tablicę, widzisz?
No ale to przez mail na pewno.
No, przez main.
Nie?
Tak, przez main na pewno.
Tak.
Jest przesłane.
A, nie wiem.
Nie wiem. Nie znam się.
No. Dobra, to weźmiemy ten setup. No co, to firmware? No, to też jest. No ale dobra, jeszcze raz tutaj nazywamy to. Tak, next. Teraz jakie to sterusz?
Bo mam futaby. Nie, nie
Futaby?
futaby.
Co to jest?
Tego mamy.
Ale to są te.
On chyba jest na S-basie. Weź z tego DRX-a sprawdź jaki on jest. To powinien być futabowy.
DRX.
DRX R617.
6, 1, no to jest
XL.
XL?
XL na końcu.
Telefon.
No nie.
Bo jak to jest dzwoni. Dobra, proszę. PPM to jest 6 channels C PPM output single line connection. One cable option.
No,
To będzie to.
no, one cable channels, no, to ten.
No, 6 kanałów PPM.
No. Tego nie znamy. Nie wiem, numer związany. Pół godziny temu. Coś mi mówi ten numer.
Zadzwonię
Ja nie dzwonię, ja odbieram.
i co?
No next, nie?
Next, no i teraz...
I co, i wisi?
Wisi, poczekajmy chwilę, bo 3 razy muszę...
Ty, a może to jest to, że on go nie widzi?
Widzi go.
Ale tego nie widzi.
Tego... Który robi RZ? Dobra, to... Przepraszam się na razie na tego problema, że sobie zmienimy, nie? I
Ale
zobacz.
to nie ruszył wtedy. Weź tego klikamy.
No jest.
No i kliknij.
No jest next i nic, nie? No to było, nie? Idzie. Ha! Coś kurwa nie miało.
Weź taki.
Dziwne, co? Dużo jest takich... Będą tu problemy. Mam tu super channel. Czym się różni PPM od PPM? Co to jest PPM?
Puls width to jest puls coś modulation.
Nie. Nie.
To powinien być. To jest robota. Weź go sobie.
wcześniej grałem deweloper. Ile
Łączył to? Jest napisane, czy możesz podłączony do zasilania podłączać, czy nie?
Czego nie rozumiem? A widzisz, jak pokryty? Podłączony.
Ну, и висит чего,
Jeszcze zobaczmy, bo jeszcze jest jakaś transmisja, więc może coś tam po prostu nagrywa. Tak, to są po prostu grupy zrobione. No, że nie pokazuje. Bardzo możliwe. No, bo wcześniej też, tam już dalej, miałem taki sam problem. Ja ją zostawiłem. I po 2 minutach też się pojawiło dalej.
Nie ma tu, inne tu, a inne tam, tak?
Ale to jest tylko 3 dni czy 4. I nie da się tego zaprojektować. O. Dobra, teraz trzeba to włączyć.
Remove all batteries and the USB cable for just 30 seconds. Put in bar and wait for it to connect this complete after setting. Then press next.
O 4 ma ktoś tu przyjść ze sprzętu. So we are waiting for someone? Or he will not come?
No, he will come at 4 o'clock, and our chief will ask you if you can, if you can go. You may go now when you would, but 4 o'clock.
We will work a little bit without the
Okay, so
system.
because we need this person, and he will ask him what namely, or English. He will ask us what namely we need to buy, maybe.
What else?
Yes, what else? If you can talk, because we are new
Of course,
person.
of course.
We don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, okay.
After a year, after 1 hour.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, I think you can consider looking for that power board instead of this one, big one, just to have the power board with the 5 voltage regulator on board. I think it might be useful. Also this cable to learn how to operate, how to fly for the simulator cable for this.
Because one day he was here when our previous lecture.
Okay. That's my idea now. After this one day, what will be needed. Also, I don't know how is that.
Cooperate with it.
What is?
Staff told us that it was on details in this box with no instruction. I don't know.
But there is something else, or only this?
No, only this. Only
So
this.
there.
We have no electronic.
It's not enough to fly.
So it's not useful.
No,
So,
not at all.
and we don't
Now it's
know.
expensive furniture.
It's expensive, but.
But you can use it because you don't even have the autopilot control systems.
Yes,
nothing,
this one.
nothing at all. It is just an empty platform, and
And we don't need why. It was bought for architectural.
it was bought because the idea was that inside that equipment you will be able to install the sensors, all the sensors,
Maybe,
because
we were told that the second part of.
with the sensors you can fly, but this autopilot probably will not work with that one. So that's why you need to. Oh.
To jest tylko dla deweloperów.
A, to
Wybieram konfigurację. Kopter, kwadro. No to mamy kwadrokopter.
Wiksie.
Tak, Wiksie. Chodzę?
Niech będzie Wiksie.
Mat? No, nie.
Wiksie, tu masz przód. Może być.
No.
Kombinację masz.
Next.